Louis speaking.
Hey Louis, it's Tiana. How are you?
Hey, T, how you travelling?
I'm good. How's your week or life going?
Life is trucking it. Obviously, the world's going a little crazy at the moment, but yeah, like I still have work and stuff like that, which is good. And then band keeps rolling on, despite all causes. Everything keeps rolling on.
Yeah, and you have a beautiful new baby in your guitar collection, I spied.
Better believe it, that little blue boy.
The bluest of boys.
The bluest of boys.
Oh, God, that was just, that was a huge highlight of my own isolation, so thank you.
Just seeing that one photo of him sitting on a chair.
I was like, yes, life is okay.
Look, life does go on, despite all common belief.
Yes, well, I'm glad that you've had work. I'm glad that you guys have kept trucking, and despite all the craziness and how it's been impacting the music world in particular, a lovely treat does await us come June 5th with The Long Dream, Part 1, officially leaping out into the world. And I know it's been close to 5 years now since you guys were last at this point. How does it feel to finally be on the brink of the release of this absolutely gorgeous album?
I've got to be totally honest with you. It's almost going to be not like a nice little bit of a weight off all of us, I think. Like, just with the way things that have gone in regards to the album and the amount of times that it's sort of not been pushed back, but been sort of reorganized around these amazing things that have happened in the last sort of 18 months as far as the band is concerned. It's just going to be really nice to sort of have it out of our arms, I suppose, and finally have it out into the world. I think just having that maybe responsibility, or just that mental weight of knowing that it's done, it's finished. We can't keep tweaking it. We can't keep, saying we need to re-record something or anything like that. Just finally saying that it's out in the world, I think is just going to have a big weight off everybody's shoulders. But it's so exciting. Like, obviously a big amounting of so much stuff and time as far as the band is concerned.
Yeah. No, it's always the way. It's like when you've got an assignment or something, you could keep rewriting it forever, and then eventually it's like, okay, I just need it to be done now, because then I can't anymore.
100%, especially when it's something creative as well. Like I feel like you put so much of yourself into it that it's almost like, especially with the amount of time involved with this album, like it's almost little bits of yourself that maybe you don't want to recognize anymore, because it seems like it was so long ago. So it's nice it's going to be nice for it to be out finally.
Yeah, totally. And I guess we have had some snippets of what's to come on the overall album over the last year and a bit. Obviously, some of those stunning singles and visuals you guys have released along the way. And I guess with the overall album, it seems like you guys as a band have effectively broached every single possible corner of the prog music world with this end product. But what was the overall plan for the album back in its early days? I know it's the first of a 2-part concept album. Can you elaborate a bit more on this particular one as it stands alone and as it may potentially stand in a broader viewpoint with this second part eventually coming out?
I think, so before some restructuring occurred probably like 9 months ago, we had about 3 albums worth of material, and it was going to be just this massive 3-part concept epic sort of thing. But I think as we've sort of very quickly been introduced to a lot of different people and made some like really incredible friends in other bands and throughout the scene and stuff like that, I think we've maybe done some quick maturing, so to speak, and sort of had some not second thoughts, but more streamlining thoughts as far as how we want the music to go out. Like, as far as this first part's concerned, like obviously there's been quite a few singles that have already been released off it, but the stuff that hasn't already been put out are maybe some of the softer cuts. And for a lot of us, I feel like maybe our favorite cuts and more of a representation of maybe where the band's looking to go in the future. Like some of the stuff that we've recorded more recently, like a lot of the songs that have already been put out are the ones that have been sitting there for like 3 years, totally finished vocals and all. But some of the new ones and like I said, probably some of the softer cuts and the more alt rock cuts, I suppose, that are probably more representative of the stuff that we used to listen to in our youth and stuff like that, are probably the ones that we're the most proud of that we're ever going to put out. So we can't wait for everyone to be able to hear those.
Yay. That's exciting times ahead for us. And it is a bit of a diverse outing because you guys do have so much light and shade in what you produce and what you kind of put out as a group. And on the topic of producing, I believe this album was entirely self-produced, and that's kind of amazing in itself. But Was this an active decision you guys made prior to going into this process to do it this way? And how do you guys go working as a group on an epic like this?
I don't know if it's ever an active decision. I think we've just always been a fairly creative group with a lot of different skill sets that we can bring to it, to the point of it almost seems, especially on something like this where it's so epic and finicky and there's so many parts and layers to it, that having that sort of total control and not limiting it to some, finite studio session, I suppose, is sort of the way that the music comes about. Like, I don't know whether this album, in the way that it's come out, could have been done if we'd have pre-planned it and then went into the studio for a month, I think the parts that we're the most proud of are the parts that sat there for a year and then we came back and totally, butchered them and rechanged the whole thing, and then it became something maybe more representative of us. But I think the self-producing thing after this, it might be something we reconsider. I think maybe now that deadlines are becoming more of a thing, and the pace with which I suppose the industry needs to work is becoming more and more immediate with the way people consume their music. Maybe we'll go about it a different way for the next one, but I can't imagine this one having been done any other way, if that makes sense.
Well, and it's an amazing thing to be able to say you have brought this to life entirely as a group and done it spectacularly too. So that's also a win. Well done.
Thank you so much.
And I suppose I almost hate to bring it up, but obviously the way the world is at the moment, I don't want to dwell significantly here. I know you guys would have been about to embark on a pretty incredible tour with Caligula's Horse over in America. And understandably, it's not necessarily a fun time to think about now, but obviously you guys do have some amazing things to look forward to on the live front once it's safe to do so. And to put a positive spin on this, I guess looking at the array of incredible new tunes you're about to release, and as you said, potentially some that you haven't actually released to the world yet and you're most excited about, is there one song or perhaps multiple songs from the album you're most keen to actually just finally be able to play live once you're able to?
There's a song called Cats, which is sort of like it comes in the middle of the album, and it's just one of our typical Ebonivory-esque slow build, end with a punch in the face sort of songs. But the first time I heard it was the first time I'd heard anything recorded off the new album, when I went over to Charlie's one day. And by the time I got to the end of it, I was full on bawling my eyes out. And it's, that's for all of us, I think, is a very special cut on the album. I think it just sort of is very emblematic of a place that we've all been in, and we think a lot of other people have been in, in their lives respectively. It's a special cut. It's a big sing-along cut. Well, I'm hoping it will be anyway when we get to play it live.
Yeah, I have had a little cheeky listen, and that was actually a huge highlight for me too. Not just saying that, but yeah, I'll be singing along like an idiot, probably crying in the front row. So.
Yeah.
That'll be something to look forward to. Or maybe you'll ban me. I don't know.
Hey, you're crying. I'm not crying.
You can't prove it. And like you said, I mean, so much has happened for you guys as a band. You have just gone from strength to strength over the past months, years. Like, it's been such a whirlwind from the outside looking in. And it's also been really beautiful to just see you guys progress significantly as you have. But has there been a particular highlight for you personally during this whirlwind over the past few years? Is there any moment or experience that's just completely blown you away on this musical adventure so far?
I know it's a bit of a cop-out, because I'm sure everyone says it, but in all honesty, just sheerly being able to meet the amount of people that we've been able to meet across the country that we would never have ever expected to be able to meet, even play, shows in the towns that they're coming from. Like, if it had to be a specific moment, like obviously being able to do the full country with the Circles guys, and like being able to play at like a venue like Max Watt, which we've all gone and in our youth seen shows of our favorite bands, from around the world, and then being able to play on that stage. Like, obviously that was a huge highlight for everyone, but sort of more broadly, just the being able to finally accept that this is a life that maybe we can all commit to, and we can all, actually do like we've always wanted to be able to do. And to be able to see that happen in such a positive and welcoming environment and community as the community of, you know, prog and heavy music and just alternative music in general. Yeah, it's been pretty special.
Yeah, that's definitely not a cop-out. That's actually beautiful. And I think it's been so nice to see how seamlessly you guys have fit into this whole world. It's just been an awesome sight, honestly. And I suppose on that topic, as a younger band compared to some of the other people involved in this world, and also from a regional town in Australia, how have you guys found the reception from audiences when you've ventured out of your hometown? I mean, you've gone so much further beyond playing in Ballarat now. Not that that's a bad thing, because obviously that's where you guys have honed everything, but there does seem to be something so universal about your music. Do you feel that people connect to them the same way regardless of where you're performing?
Yeah, I think it's funnily to where we've sort of ended up as far as, you know, the involvement with Wild Thing and like having Progfest be the thing that sort of kicked it off for us. Like we really sort of have an aversion to the title of prog. Like we've never really sort of wanted to be fit into that kind of bubble as far as the music is concerned. We just feel like, especially from like our own backgrounds and where we gain our influences from, like we like to think that our music is a little bit more universal and a bit more approachable from as far as music can go, I suppose. And I think that's probably just been the most representative of being able to go to a new town and play with bands that, like, we go out of our way to try and pick lineups that aren't necessarily representative of just the prog scene. Like we can go as far as we want, like some of the best bands we've played with, like the Heartline guys down in Adelaide, who we absolutely love, who are just like, you know, Wind Waker, eat your heart out sort of band. And, you know, we've got cuts off the album which are going to fit nicely with them, and then we'll get guys like Jack Bolingbroke from Adelaide as well, who are that very heavy prog thing, and we can slot in nicely with that. And then we'll go up to Sydney and play with like the Scarborough guys or Relica or something like that, and then we can fit in nicely with them as well. Like I think the idea is that we, obviously through a bit of a set decision, I suppose, but like we can fit in where we want to fit in. It's more just about people being able to come and experience the music.
The chameleons of the prog world. Well, now you've got all these beautiful coloured instruments too. It kind of fits in quite beautifully. I'm quite into that.
You better believe it. Like they are very colourful, yeah.
And I know you mentioned like kind of bringing your own influences and all of that into this band. Like for yourself as an artist, what bands or artists did you grow up listening to that ultimately led you to becoming a shred king in such a beautiful Australian band?
Look, we've all discussed this a lot, and I think it's probably the first like heavier alternative bands I think I ever remember listening to were probably Avenged Sevenfold and Day to Remember.
Nice.
And I would just sit there and try and shed Sinister Gate solos terribly in my bedroom as a 14-year-old young lad. And then probably Periphery as far as the alternative stuff is concerned, but the prog stuff is concerned rather. But like we've all been brought up on like, you know, Powderfinger and like the whole pop punk scene as a whole. Like that's been super influential on our music, or my music anyway. Like I went and studied jazz down in Melbourne, so I've got a big affinity for the softer side of life, for the John Coltrane's of the world, but that's all right. And I suppose you just got to widen your horizons. Like the more it is that you're choosing to listen to and the more you want to expose yourself to and the more you want to learn, and the bigger and wider, I suppose, your musical creations can be.
Perfectly put. I find that quite interesting because I interviewed Josh from Caligula's Horse literally the other day, and he pulled out all the usual ones, but then he also threw in Sarah McLachlan. So everyone's got such diversity in their tastes. So it's, I think the more we can get out there.
100%. And the more that you want to listen to, the more you're going to be exposed to. Like, you know, there's a time for bubblegum pop. Like sometimes I just want to listen to One of the Boys by Katy Perry, and it's a good time.
Yes, that's it. And I think not having to label them as like guilty pleasures, because I always used to feel like I had to like justify it and say, oh, it's my guilty pleasure. I'm like, no, it's just a pleasure. That's what this is.
It's exactly right. It's just a pleasure. Like if it's going to spark some joy for you, as Marie Kondo would say, if it sparks joy, then it's good.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like at the moment everyone's stuck at home and everyone seems to be currently sharing album covers all over social media to pass the time and annoy their friends. But I thought we could be a little bit classy and do it via an interview instead. So
amazing.
This one is a two-parter. Firstly, what is the first album you ever bought yourself? And secondly, what's the last album you listened to from start to finish that wasn't your own?
First album I remember buying was Danny California, Red Hot Chili Peppers. Oh, no, sorry, Stadium Arcadium, Red Hot Chili Peppers. And the last album I listened to start to finish was probably Mousetrap Heart by Thirsty Merc.
Nice.
Maybe.
Maybe.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, probably Mousetrap Heart by Thirsty Merc.
Yeah, awesome.
You?
So my first album I bought was Frog Stomp Silverchair.
Ooh, good shout.
But I cannot say that I bought it because I was cool. It's literally I liked the album cover because I thought the frog was really cute.
Hey, as long as it looks good to you, you're gonna pick it up. The same goes for instruments.
I judged an album by its cover, and my street cred just dropped dramatically.
What do you mean? It's fine. People judge wine by their label. I'm sure you can judge albums by their cover.
Oh, thank God. And hilariously, the last album I listened to from start to finish, I didn't actually plan to answer this, but it was actually your album. So.
Oh, well, I suppose it's ironic. We were planning to do this at some point.
I know. It wasn't intended, but yeah, so it was definitely a lovely time for me. So thank you for that. You've made my second part of that answer also equally awesome. Now, finally, I won't keep you all day, but in honour of the new album, The Long Dream, I'm going to go cliched here. What's the last dream you had and actually remembered, and was it long?
The last dream I had, and remember, I don't really dream that much, but I had a real bad dream the other day where I woke up in my dream and all of my scalp was like flaking.
Ooh.
It was really bizarre. Not a good positive dream. It was very quick though. I woke up and roused myself from that one. But yeah, not a positive one.
Yeah. See, I like to think when I have a few too many whiskeys of an evening that I am really good at dream analysis. So I'll have to get on that one time and just
you got to come back and tell me what this whole scalp means.
Note to yourself, what is scalp dreaming mean?
What does it mean to dream of one's scalp? Somewhere between 4 and 5.
Yeah.
Lagavulin 12 years will just really kick you over into dream analysis territory.
That's it. My new career is taking off.
Well, usually somewhere around then is when I start singing Captain Cabinet, as we've now found a mutual love for the boosh.
Oh,
so
my goodness.
we will uniformly dream analysis and sing boosh songs. Amazing.
Well, I'm so grateful that you could chat to me today. It is always a pleasure to have more Ebonivory in my life and to share some stories with you. And despite the bittersweet not being in America right now, I know you guys are just going to come back bigger and better than ever when the live shows do get the green light. But first and foremost, just wishing you all the best for this album release. It is utterly gorgeous, and a huge congratulations to you guys. And here is to life getting back to normal ASAP so we can have some gig hangs very soon.
100%. Thank you so much for the call, T, and I hope everything's going well for you too.
Thanks, dude. I'm so grateful, and I hope your day is not too stressful.
No, it should be nice and fun. I'm in the kitchen all day today, which is going to be nice.
Oh, hells yes.
Hells yeah.
Thanks for the time.
All right, cheers, T. Thank you so much, man. Bye.
Bye.